Hi everybody, thanks for tuning in to our January 2019 update. As Dale pointed out in December, our 2018 was a dynamite year and we're looking forward to more great things in 2019. The first thing that's going to be happening here next weekend is my 67 Ford Custom 500 is going to go through the Mecum auction in Kissimmee, Florida. And it's lot number S231. It'll be running on Saturday the 12th. You can register to bid online at mecum.com. A lot of people ask, why are you selling it? Well, the truth is we've got the Studebaker and the C10 and we really need to make room in the garage for these cars. So I love the Ford and it's a great car and it's time for someone else to enjoy it. It was an amazing build where it was more of a resto mod, but classic muscle. So it had dog dish hubcaps. It was like the sleeper car that had some modern stuff in there hidden, like the dual quad fuel injection and the 6-speed manual. And I thoroughly enjoyed the car. I think I put about 7,000 miles on it and fully dialed in. So if you're interested in that, it'll be up for auction. It's got a very reasonable reserve. And we've got other things that we'll talk about for 2019 throughout this video as we walk around the shop. So let's check it out again. So one of the things we want to do in 2019, you see that large crate up there? There's a body in there. We're going to be building a chassis for it. All I can tell you is it's going to have a transaxle and it'll be awesome. We're calling it the Schwartz Car. This is Sam's 71 CUDA. We've fitted the shaker on top of the supercharged modern Hemi. And this has a Schwartz G-Machine chassis, of course, and also independent rear suspension along with RideTech Air Ride on it. We've just finished stitching up the dash. We're doing some stereo installation now, but it's the final stages of assembly here, and this thing's going to be pretty crazy. Dale touched on this car a bit last month. This is Tony's 70 Chevelle, and we're waiting for the engine to arrive from Nelson Racing Engines. Apparently it's a real high horsepower supercharged LS engine, and as you can see, we've got the engine bay all detailed and ready for the bullet to come and drop it in. And then we've got to add a heat exchanger, so we had to move the AC condenser a little bit and to accommodate that. So we're getting ready to mount those things, and the engine's supposed to be here middle of January, which is next week. This is that Monte Carlo that we fitted our brand new chassis to, and we've smoothed the firewall. This customer was going to do a big block Chevy, and now has changed his mind to put the new LT5 ZR1 crate engine. So that engine should be here in a few days. We're going to mock it up and test fit it, make sure everything fits properly. We've fitted these chassis with the LT4 and the LT1, but this one may have a slightly different pan, and I want to just double check it, make sure everything fits as it should before we powder coat the chassis. So the bottom's been bed lined, we've smoothed the firewall, and the last step is just mock up that engine and then get the chassis powder coated and put it back in the car, and it should be delivered to the customer with the engine and trans, and then he's going to continue the build on the project. So it should be pretty exciting with an LT5 engine in there. 750 some horsepower out of the box, 755 I think it is, and 700 foot-pounds of torque. With a simple pulley change, you should be able to push that thing over 800 pretty easily. So it's going to be a crazy car. We just got the roll bar in for this 75 Trans Am. Everybody knows I love Trans Ams, so we'll be test fitting that and drilling the holes and mocking it up next week. We're still doing fab work on this 67 Barracuda. We've got the final closeout panel of the engine bay done. That's the one forward of the core support here that has clearance for the hood latch to go down into. And that gives it a final nice clean look here. We still got to do some engine covers and some bay bar bracing on the engine bay, and then that should be wrapped up in this end. We're just doing some interior panels in the back. I'll show you those. This body was mini tubbed to fit the really wide tires in the back, and consequently we had to trim this interior panel to clear the tub. This is a metal panel, not a plastic one, so it was real easy to fabricate this bulged area so it gives us a cleaner area to upholster. So this interior panel will get wrapped in leather, and with the wheel well sticking out of there, it didn't really look right. So Eric had this idea to just fab this piece and weld it onto that, and it turned out really nice, and it should look really awesome with that all covered in leather and the German velour carpet back here. We did maintain all the flip down panels in here, so it'll still have all that unique stuff that was kind of cool about this car. Well, behind me is our paint booth, and the Elenor Mustang is in there right now, so we can't go in there right now. However, it's been a long road to get to this point. Any of these cars, and trucks in particular, that have multiple pieces, there's so many things you have to do to make sure everything fits right. In the case of the Elenor, there's all these scoops and panels, and Mustangs in general have like headlight extensions and taillight extensions. There's all these little extra pieces, some of them fiberglass, so it just takes a long time to get everything fitted. But we finally got everything to our satisfaction, and it's in the booth right now. Our Pontiac Tempest, known as the Temptress, is getting updated. We pulled the engine out. This engine has been in here since like 2009. I popped the first engine at Gingerman with hard cornering and a wet sump oiling system. So this dry sump engine's been in there ever since, and the oil pressure was getting a little on the low side. It still made the same power as it did when I built the engine myself back in 2009. So we pulled it apart, and the bearings are kind of worn out, and you know, still made power, but obviously it needs a freshening up. So forged crank, Weisco pistons, all that showed very little wear. So we're going through, and we are going to regrind the crank and then freshen everything. So it should have a new lease on life. We are going to supercharge this now, and since we put this together, everyone else has stepped up their game horsepower wise. So we're shooting for probably about 8 to 850, and we'll probably be running it on E85. So that's what we're doing there. We're going to test out the new engine at Daytona International Speedway in April for the Optima Ultimate Street Car Challenge. We're already entered in that. Actually, I'm entered driving this car, and we'll see how it all shakes out. And then we have a new IRS that we're going to be testing in this car as well throughout the year. So exciting stuff for the Temptress. It's been a good old stallion. Another goal for 2019 is to get these two shop projects further along. Basically, I'd like to finish them both by the end of the year. I'm not sure if that's going to happen because customer work takes priority. But both of these projects are kind of at the same stage. Chassis have been built, fuel tanks are in them, motors and trans are done, the fab work's all been done. So at this stage of the game, we have to mount pedals, steering column, air conditioning, plumb things, the fuel system, power steering, engine oil cooler, trans cooler, whatever we have here, and then paint and body. So essentially just the mechanical building of the remaining things, and then paint and body work on both of them. So doesn't sound like a lot, but we've got a lot done on them, and as we have time, we'll fit these into the schedule this year as well, and hopefully have them running by the end of the year. For those of you that don't subscribe to our newsletter, there's a link that you can subscribe to. We recently went over all the things that happened in 2018 and had kind of a recap. So if you didn't see that, be sure and subscribe to that. The Raybestos truck is still here. It was given away to a gentleman and his wife from Minnesota out at SEMA in Las Vegas, the apex part of SEMA. And we will be delivering this to them in the spring. There'll be a party at their house, and we'll be delivering it to them personally in the spring. Not sure what date yet. But we will have our schedule updated on the website very soon once we get everything figured out. And thanks again for watching, and be sure to check it out next month.